Okay, guys. This week you are studying the vernacular traditions. The vernacular traditions are passed down orally. They are native to the people of a specific place. We also see it as a vehicle of expression for those with lower socioeconomic status. These stories show differences between upper and lower classes, and there's so many different forms of the vernacular traditions, such as storytelling, organizing, work songs, preaching, gospel, and blues. The vernacular traditions of a culture, what are often lumped together as folk life, comprise of many forms of expression that are passed down orally or by demonstration from person to person rather than by the written word. Folk culture in the American South left its imprint on a wide range of customs, from birthing practices to funerals, and has inspired much creativity in healing, pottery, quilts, music, and storytelling, cooking, and even work, and numerous other additional arts and crafts. Um, One of the major parts of the vernacular is the spirituals. So these are often used as a coping mechanism during slavery, and often they retold some sort of Bible events and were very simple in the structure and the creation with just simple refrains. Spirituals are one conspicuous point of intersection between Black and white cultures in the South. Although they are more frequently identified with African Americans, these songs are sacred, which draw heavily on if they do not completely retell biblical events. They're usually fairly simple in structure, with one or two lines of repetition being the dominant feature. Poetic quality appears to be less important than the fervor in which the songs are sung. Their structural simplicity reflects a time when few hymnals existed and many songs had to be lined out for congregations or for camp meetings. In this process, a leader would sing a line of the song and the audience would then repeat the line in its entirety. So this pattern would continue for as long as the group thought necessary. Ballads and folk songs. These are usually written about death, often tell a story about a specific situation. These again are passed down orally. We also have work songs. So work songs are something that people use while they're working. They're usually doing manual labor. You probably have heard about them with train railroad workers or anyone working maybe on the roads, something similar to that. So they usually is set up as like a call and response to help the leader formulate a rhythm to the task at hand. And this made the process go a little bit faster and sometimes easier when people were singing. The blues originated from the sentiment, a way to laugh, to keep from crying. Pre-Civil War blues was specifically thematic surrounding sorrow, and it usually it did originate in the South. We see that a lot of the blues started here right in the Delta, and it's important to note that it did have some humor to it as well. It wasn't all about sadness. It was about humor and about love oftentimes. And later on, when you get a chance, I've listed some other blues artists. I know that you worked on some recently, but there's some other links that I've listed under this PowerPoint and this presentation. I would love for you to go back and look at, specifically Robert Johnson. His story is really, really interesting because he is from the Delta. Some of you may have heard of him already. And we, of course, have the preaching. You read Dr. Martin Luther King's speech, which I'm sure you have heard before. And one important note about it is it's pretty rhythmic. He repeats, "I have a dream," over and over and over. And in most preaching cases, we see it almost is like a performance art. They deliver speeches beginning with like a normal tone, and then they progress into chanting and an interactive experience from the audience. So without the audience, it would not be as effective. So the exchanges are not planned, but the cadences and the responses sound as if they are. So this is a centerpiece of the communal process to involve the participants through God's word. So this is very important. Storytelling. So we have these origin stories that actually occurred from Native Americans of the region, that they have developed a cultural rich in myths, legends, and stories. So many of the stories serve basic needs. They explained in some manner how the earth was created, how the sun and the moon came to provide light, and how humankind emerged. So the European settlers brought their own stories to the New World. African slaves brought theirs, and over time, these tales and legends, influenced by the flora, the fauna, and climate of the New World, took on a unique American flavor and became a part of our culture here in the South. There's so much I could say about the blues. There's so much I could talk to you about. But the best way to kind of understand the blues is to actually just listen to it. Listen to the lyrics, listen to the songs. So I put some links down, a little bit about Ma Rainey, and please go and look at those. I think it would be really to your advantage. So back to Huckleberry Finn. There is a lot of symbolism in the story Huckleberry Finn, and that is important for you to note. So we have the Mississippi River. And this river represents freedom and the possibility for both Huck and Jim to escape to the free states, but also maybe the problems of a drifting life. So they're trying to go forward and push forward and get out of the oppressive state that they were in. And to do that, they have to travel this very difficult river. The raft, which you've seen we've lost and found, provides a space for Huck and Jim to get to know each other as equals. They learn from each other. They become friends. They fight. They argue. And they make up again. It's also a mode to freedom. Widow Douglas, we saw a little about her at the beginning. She represents that society and the civilized life, in contrast to Huck, as we know, wants to just be himself and make his own decisions. She makes Huck go to church and Sunday school as well as regular school, and she tries to keep him clean and tidy. Okay. Huckleberry Finn, the chapters 8 through 15, which you read last Friday, we start to see this quest. And again, I've told you before, this quest is when you encounter some sort of obstacle. And we see that Huck and Jim encounter several obstacles in these chapters. One being running into robbers on a ship, losing their raft. We see Huck going into town and turning himself into a young girl and playing tricks. And we see Huck and Jim travel upriver towards the Free State. So we see some sort of progress. We also see that Huck's playfulness, and he's still holding on. He's trying to hold on to that childlike innocence with Jim, even though sometimes the tricks that he plays on Jim are not very nice. Okay. And then we see Jim as a protector. He tries to keep Huck safe. And this shows the love that they have for one another is starting to develop as they move forward. So I hope you're still continuing to enjoy Huck Finn. You have chapters due this Friday. You also have some drawings due with the spirituals that you were listening to. If you have any questions about that, please email me. I can help you upload your pictures. I'm really excited to see them. Also, check out the backstory to Amazing Grace, one of the songs that you were supposed to listen to. It's a really interesting story. I think something that you should be knowledgeable about. Okay, guys. Well, I will see you Thursday at our Google Meet. Have a great week.